Bridget, please stop texting and let's finish packing. Our flight is leaving this afternoon, says her mother from across the room. Bridget could sense that she was getting stressed. After all, Bridget was taking her good old time. She was texting anyone and everyone she could before their big adventure. Bridget's mother decided to break the devastating news. We will be taking an electronic-free vacation this time. No computers, iPads, and definitely no cell phones, she said. It crossed Bridget's mind for just a quick flash. God forbid we have an emergency. But she shook the thought away and hesitantly put down her phone and began stuffing her clothes into her small suitcase. Off they went to their mountainous adventure just outside Gatlinburg, Tennessee. They arrived at the cabin around noon on that chilly winter day. Bridget looked around and was taken in by the beauty of the landscape. The trees were covered in a light snowfall, and the faraway mountaintop was almost completely covered by clouds. The cabin had great views from just about every window. Bridget was looking out of the front large window and said quietly, "Mom, there aren't any neighbors around. Isn't that a little weird?" Bridget's mother just shrugged and said, "That's how it is in the country." Bridget and her mother decided that it was time to build a fire. Nightfall was just upon the little cabin in the middle of the beautiful Smoky Mountains, when suddenly there was a loud knock upon the door. Bridget's mother slowly went to the door and looked out of the side window. It was a police officer standing there. Behind him was a police car that had Gatlinburg's Police Department, Gatlinburg's finest, written along the side in bright fluorescent green. The police officer said, "Hello there, pretty ladies," using the most southern slang ever. "I wanted to let y'all know these here parts are fixin' to be covered up in snow. You folks ready for that?" Bridget's mother looked at him as though she had no idea what he was talking about, but suddenly answered with a, "We're gonna get some snow." Bridget looked over her mother's shoulder with excitement. "Listen here, little ladies. We ain't gettin' some purty little snowflakes. We fixin' to get 2 feet of that powder by morn." Bridget and her mother heard what the police officer said, but just failed to register the amount of snow that was expected. Bridget was exploring about the cabin and stumbled upon an odd-shaped door in one of the tiny bedrooms. She pulled the door open and realized that it was not a closet, but some sort of space, what looked like cameras inside. She immediately turned to run and tell her mother when suddenly her mother appeared right behind her. "Look, Mom, what's this?" Her mother bent down to sneak a peek what was inside. "Oh, wow, it's a safe room." A safe room is to hide if someone is trying to break in. It keeps the robbers out and the family safe. "Remember that movie called Panic Room?" Bridget's mom asked. Oh yeah, Bridget remembered. She was scared to be alone for months after seeing that movie. Bridget's mom was good at quickly changing the subject and asked Bridget if she would like to sit down by the fire and play a game. Bridget smiled and agreed. The snow was really coming down now. It was so thick that you couldn't see anything out of the windows. It looked like white blankets were draped across each of the windows, not allowing anyone to see a speck of anything beyond the paned glass of that little cabin, alone in the middle of nowhere. Suddenly, there was a faint sound they could hear coming from outside. It sounded like footsteps in the snow. Bridget's mother again attempted to look out of the window, but could not see anything. Just then the lights began to flicker. Bridget was beginning to get scared. Bridget's mother tried to remain calm. The thought of not having light was one thing, but no heat was quite another. Before her mother could finish that thought, the lights flicked off completely, and the entry door made such a loud crash and thump they both thought a truck had hit it. They both knew that this was not the case. Bridget's mother grabbed Bridget by her arm and the back of her pajama top, and literally dragged her up the stairs so fast that Bridget almost felt that she wasn't going to keep up. She knew that her mother had her tightly gripped, and for a moment she thought that this wouldn't be a safe matter. Reality washed over Bridget's mind again, and she suddenly knew that they were in trouble. Bridget was pale, shaking, and about to say something when her mother got right in her face and put one finger over her lips. Her mother gestured to the tiny room they stumbled upon earlier. 1 floor below you could hear heavy footsteps, and it was definitely more than 1 set of feet. One man shouted, "Where are they?" Another voice said, "Well, we're not stopping until we find 'em. We need some cash, computers, any electronics you can find. We can sell the stuff." By this time, Bridget and her mom were quietly locked inside the safe room. Bridget began turning on all the cameras. 3 men were inside. 1 had a gun and 1 had a knife. Bridget's mom quickly turned to Bridget and said, "Where's your cell phone?" Bridget looked over at her mother in what appeared to be a grin, but her mother realized what she had just asked. Bridget spoke up and said, "Nice time for an electronic-free vacation, huh?" Bridget's mother began to cry. "Bridget, I'm so sorry. We should never be without our phones, ever. You never know when you'll need one," Bridget's mother said. Downstairs, you could still hear the furniture being flipped over and glass breaking. Shots suddenly rang from the floor below us. Bridget's mother held Bridget close, whispering, "It's going to be all right." Voices and sirens were heard from outside. Over a megaphone, a single voice echoed through the cabin. "Mrs. Reiser, you're safe. You can come out now." Bridget and her mother realized that they had just been rescued by Gatlinburg's finest. The police officer that came earlier to the cabin, Mr. Carl McDonald, put a bullet in all 3 men who happened to be escaped prisoners from the Memphis State Prison. Mr. McDonald was only checking up on the 2 visitors in the cabin. He said he was worried about the pretty ladies on that lonely stretch of road. Bridget and her mom thanked Mr. McDonald as he drove them both off to the Hyatt Regency downtown, where there was plenty of Wi-Fi.